So we have our sterile tubes now labeled. We have our sterile BHI broth. Now, in order to transfer the broth to the tubes, we need to use aseptic techniques using only sterile methods. So what we have here is a pipette. This is a graduated pipette with measurements for different volumes on it. This is a 10 milliliter pipette, which means it holds 10 milliliters, and it is marked at 1/10 of a milliliter increments, which are tough to get. There we go. So you can see 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, those are the different milliliters. And if we wanted to put, say, 10 milliliters of broth in each of these tubes, aseptically, there are some steps we need to take. First, this is right now sterile. It has been sterilized inside of this paper/plastic sleeve, so there are no contaminants in it whatsoever. We need to keep it like that. So, here's how to do that. You'll notice at the top here is the little flap where it's sort of parted. You tear that open and expose just the tip, right? You don't want it exposed for long, but you need that. And then you grab your pipetter. I'm gonna have to set this down for this part. Obviously don't have a GoPro for this, doing this all on my phone, but hey, it works more or less. All right, so remember, we want to keep contamination to a minimum. What's nice is that these do have a sort of cotton filter there that keeps out, well, pretty much anything of any size. So this will filter out bacteria much the same way that your mask does. Okay, so we pop that off and we have our pipetter here and we just push it into place and make sure that it's nice and snug. You don't have to jam it in there like the Hulk. Just make sure that it's airtight. And once it is, we are ready to start pipetting. Okay? So, you bring it over, and the first thing you need to do, leave that there, and you can do this before you even do that. You want to loosen the caps, but not remove them. Okay? They need to be loose enough that you can pop them off easily, but not so they're popping off on their own. All right? Same with the top of the broth. We just loosen stuff so that we can work quickly and aseptically. So that's ready to be removed easily, quickly. To do this, it's simple enough. You have your pipette here. You go straight from the sleeve to your broth. You make sure that you don't touch that pipette to anything else, and you draw. To use the pipetter, you just submerge the tip and then you roll this wheel here. What happens as you do so is that it creates a vacuum which draws the broth up. If we want 10 milliliters, then we go from the bottom up to 0, and that is 10 milliliters. All right, so after that, and this is gonna get a little wonky, my apologies, you take it and quickly bring it over to your tube. You pick up the tube, you dispense, and ideally you don't even want to touch the insides of the tube. It's a bit hard to do one-handed like this, but once you've dispensed it all, I'll show you how my other hand picked up the tube like this, or usually when you have your hand available, you pick it up like this. Anyway, once you're done, you put it back on. You don't, in your case, yes, you push it all the way down because you don't want anything getting in there. And then you come back and you draw the next one. Same thing. You want 10 milliliters. So take it up to that 0 mark. If you overshoot, you just pipette a little bit back out. And again, it doesn't have to be exact for us. It really doesn't, folks. For this, you only need an approximation. You could have 7 milliliters or 8 milliliters. It really doesn't matter. We're just doing 10 milliliters to get you used to measuring that amount. Again, you put the lid on and you keep going. At no point, there are 2 things that you must never do. Pay attention here. You must not touch the tip to anything apart from sterile media or containers. Otherwise, you're contaminating it, right? You go straight from the inside of the broth. Try not to touch even the sides of the flask if possible. Go dispense right into the tube. Try not to touch the sides of that. All of that. If you touch something, go ahead and pop out the tip and grab a new sterile tip. Hopefully you don't have to, and you can do all 4 of them. The other thing that you must not do is you must not turn the pipetter sideways. You must keep it pointed straight up. The reason is that you have liquid in there, and if you turn it sideways, liquid will flow down and go into the pipetter. Now, fortunately, because we have these little plugs, that's not as big of an issue, but it remains one, and especially when you don't have that protective filter, which a lot of pipettes don't have. So never, ever, ever go anywhere beyond about that range. You do not want the liquid running up into the pipetter.